Have you ever sat alone in your room wondering why people keep walking over you, why you're always giving more than you're getting, why you're always the one breaking while everyone else just keeps moving? Sis, bro, it's not them, it's you. And I don't say that to hurt you, I say it to wake you up. Because there's one truth nobody told you loud enough. You gotta love you first. Let's talk about it. Step one, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. You ever wonder why some people get respect the moment they walk into a room and others gotta fight just to be heard? It ain't luck. It ain't about money or status. It's about how they carry themselves, the energy you walk in with, the way you speak about yourself, the boundaries you set. That's what teaches people what's allowed and what's not. See, when you constantly put yourself last, when you always say yes even when your spirit's screaming no, when you let folks talk slick to you and you don't check it, that's a lesson. And what you're teaching them is, it's okay to treat me like I don't matter. Let me tell you something real. People are watching how you treat yourself. If you speak down to yourself, if you never prioritize your needs, if you always downplay your own worth, others pick up on that. They mirror it. You saying, oh, it's fine, I don't need anything, or it's okay, I'll handle it, might sound humble to you, but what they're hearing is, I'm not a priority, you don't have to try for me. Now, flip it. Think about that person who walks with confidence, speaks with authority, and sets boundaries like their peace depends on it, because it does. People think twice before stepping wrong with them. They're not doing anything magical. They just respect themselves first and the world follows their lead. If you let people cancel on you last minute, always lean on you without ever showing up for you or speak to you in a way that cuts, you're not just accepting that behavior, you're giving them the green light to keep doing it. But when you start showing up for you, when you say, nah, that don't work for me, or I deserve more than that, that's when people start adjusting. That's when the respect level rises, not because they changed, but because you did. Step two, being alone isn't lonely when you know who you are. Being alone gets a bad rap. Society makes it seem like if you're by yourself, something must be wrong, like you're incomplete, like you're missing out. People rush into relationships, friendships, even chaos, just so they don't have to sit with themselves. But the truth is, being alone only feels lonely when you don't know who you are, when you don't understand your own worth, your own voice, your own power. You look for other people to fill the silence. You want someone to make you feel loved, seen, needed. But if you don't even recognize your own value, no amount of company will fix that empty feeling inside. You'll just keep pulling people in, hoping they'll do the job you were meant to do for yourself. But when you do know who you are, that solitude, it hits different. You start to enjoy your own energy. You're not bored when you're alone because your thoughts inspire you. Your time becomes sacred. You protect your peace because you know how hard you work to find it. You can sit in silence and feel full, not because someone else is there, but because you are. You finally get that your value doesn't come from attention, affection, or approval. It comes from within. And see, when you've taken the time to learn yourself, your triggers, your passions, your dreams, your patterns, you stop fearing the quiet. You're welcoming. Because in that space, you're growing, you're healing, you're evolving without the noise, without the drama, without the pressure to perform for anyone else. Being alone becomes your sanctuary, not your sentence. You stop settling for halfway love just to have someone around. You stop tolerating fake energy just to feel connected, because you're already connected to yourself. You wake up and move through the day not wondering who's texting you, who's checking on you, who's thinking about you. You become your own peace, your own source, your own home. Step 3, stop looking for validation in broken mirrors. There's a reason you keep feeling not good enough, no matter how hard you try to please people. You keep chasing approval from people who are too broken to see your light clearly. It's like standing in front of a shattered mirror, hoping it will reflect something whole back at you, but it can't. It's not built to. And the problem isn't you, it's the mirror you're looking into. You keep asking people who don't even like themselves to tell you who you are. You keep trying to be enough for people who couldn't recognize worth if it stared them in the face. Maybe it's that parent who never saw your potential, that friend who only supports you when you're small enough not to shine brighter than them, or that partner who tears you down because they're intimidated by your growth, and yet you keep going back to them, hoping one day they'll say, "You're amazing, you're worthy, you matter." But how can they see you clearly when their own view of the world is distorted? You're measuring your value through someone else's insecurity. You're begging for love from people who don't even love themselves. You're waiting on an apology from someone who doesn't even know how to take accountability for their own pain. And it's costing you your peace, your confidence, your time. You dress a certain way, speak a certain way, move a certain way, just to earn approval from people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared. You shrink yourself, hide your power, dull your shine, just to make them comfortable. But no matter how much you give, it's never enough. Why? Because the mirror is broken, and broken mirrors reflect broken images. No matter how whole and worthy you are, they can't see it, not because you're not it, but because they're not well enough to receive it. It's not your job to make someone else see your value. It's your job to see it for yourself. Because when you finally stop begging for validation from people who don't even validate their own existence, you stop living for their approval and start living in your truth. And that truth is not something they ever had the power to define in the first place. Step 4, self-love sets the standard. Self-love is the blueprint. It's the invisible line you draw in the sand that says, "This is how far you can go with me. This is what I will and won't accept." And the wild thing is, most people don't realize that the way they love themselves becomes the exact standard they hand to the world. You might think people just treat you however they want, but truth is they treat you how you've shown them to. Your actions, your choices, your tolerance. It all tells a story about how much you believe you deserve. If you're constantly second-guessing yourself, putting your needs at the bottom of the list, making excuses for others while abandoning your own peace, that sets the tone. It's like walking into a job interview and saying, "I'll take anything, I don't need benefits, I don't need respect, just let me be here." You wouldn't do that, right? But in life, in love, in friendships, So many people do just that. They don't realize that by not loving themselves fully, they're telling the world, I'm okay with crumbs. I don't need the full meal. But when you truly love yourself, not in a loud, arrogant way, but in a deep, grounded, non-negotiable kind of way, you start expecting more. Not because you're entitled, but because you finally realize what you're worth. You won't let people play with your time. You won't chase someone who treats you like an option. You won't stay in spaces that make you question your value. You just won't. That kind of love isn't about bubble baths and candles. It's about discipline. It's about saying no when it's easier to say yes just to avoid conflict. It's about choosing healing over habit. It's about walking away from people you care about because you care about you more. That's what sets the standard, because the level at which you love yourself becomes the filter for everything and everyone you allow into your life. Whether it's how someone talks to you, how they show up for you, how much effort they give, you set the bar. And that bar doesn't move depending on who's trying to reach it. It stays firm because it was never about them. It was always about what you decided you deserve. Step 5, when you love you, you don't settle. When you really love yourself, not just say it, but live it deep down. You stop settling for things that don't align with your value. You stop forcing yourself to fit into spaces you've already outgrown. Stop staying in relationships that drain you. Stop chasing people who don't even know how to hold space for you. Because self-love builds a certain kind of strength. A quiet, unshakable knowing that says, I deserve more than this and I'm willing to wait for it. Settling happens when you think you don't have options, when you believe you're running out of time, or when you convince yourself that what's in front of you is the best you're gonna get. But that mindset only exists when you haven't learned to love yourself at the level you were meant to. See, when you don't love you, you'll entertain half effort, bare minimum, and inconsistent energy. Because you're more focused on being chosen than being respected. You accept comfort over connection, attention over intention, and familiarity over fulfillment. All because you haven't stopped long enough to ask, is this really what I deserve? But self-love flips the script. It shifts your perspective from desperation to discernment. You stop asking, will they like me? And start asking, do they align with who I'm becoming? You start measuring opportunities, relationships, and environments by how they make you feel at your core, not just what they look like on the outside. You stop showing up with a mindset of lack and start walking in fullness. And from that place, you can't help but raise your standards, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. Because when you love you, you know what peace feels like. You've tasted it, you've worked for it, you've protected it. And anyone that threatens to disturb that is not welcome, no matter how good it looks or how long it's been there. Love for yourself teaches you patience. You stop rushing, you stop begging, you stop explaining your worth to people who need a translator just to understand your value. You don't need to convince anybody when you've already convinced yourself. Let me tell you something before you scroll away. The love you're out here begging for, the respect you've been waiting on, the peace you keep chasing, it all starts with you. You want better, you gotta treat yourself better. You want real love? Start giving that kind of love to the person in the mirror. Because when you love you first, fully, loudly, unapologetically, you stop walking through life like you're a maybe. You start walking like you're a standard. Don't wait for them to wake up and see your worth. Wake up yourself. Show them how it's done. Because once you lock in with you, there's no limit to what you attract, what you protect, and what you refuse to accept. So go ahead, fix your crown, stand tall, and love yourself like your life depends on it, because honestly, it does. Your next level starts the moment you choose you. Let's go.